My name is Adam Kurtz, and I'm with Sylvan Software, and I'll be stepping you through today's topics. We'll talk initially about the Stratum Data Hub, the concept behind that architecture that we currently provide. And then we'll delve into what Power BI is, and I'll get into some more details about Microsoft's powerful visualization tool. We'll see how we connect to Stratum using the Power BI desktop, and we'll see how we can leverage Stratum and the views within Stratum to allow that connection to happen. And then we'll pivot over to Excel, and we'll talk about the Excel connector and how that can basically accomplish the same thing. It could tap into your Stratum viewer views and gain access to the data within Stratum as well. So Power BI and Excel, and then we'll look at how we can use those products to tap into those views in a demo. So today's Stratum Data Hub, as you can see, it's got the analytical applications there embedded within the Stratum architecture. The views gain access to the data within those applications. And with having the Stratum semantic layer there with business-related metadata, users and analysts and data scientists are able to tap into Stratum and gain access to those measures and metrics and KPIs that Stratum database contains, the Stratum Data Hub. So as you can see, I've got different areas that I can gain access to the Stratum Access Hub. I can gain access using the Stratum Access Hub using the Excel add-in and the Power BI connector. So getting data out of Stratum by using the different capabilities of the Stratum Access Hub. Today, we'll be focusing in on the Excel add-in and the Power BI connector. But as you can see, the Access Hub also provides the ability to get data out using the email distribution. It also includes access through REST API. And it also includes the Forecast Pro engine for getting data and leveraging data out and getting that into a forecasting engine. What is Power BI? Basically, it's a Microsoft's data visualization tool that, as you can see, can tap into different types of databases and APIs. It's a full-blown web browser-based visualization tool with very cool visualizations. And it's easy to use and easy to set up. It's even got a free version that you could use as well. It's easy to use, as I said before, it's cost effective. The enterprise can license it. It does have a licensing structure where you can purchase it. It's got fully customizable visualizations. It's actually quite fun to mess around with. The collaboration is simple, and you can upload it to the Power BI cloud and collaborate your work and reports. And it's got a nifty library of custom visualizations that Microsoft provides. So when you need something custom, a little bit more snippy and snappy from the Stratum database, you can use the Power BI connector to tap into the rich data, the clean and accurate data that Stratum provides. So just looking at it at a high level here, we can see that Power BI uses that Power BI connector as middleware to get to the Stratum viewer. Once you make that connection, as you can see, you'll gain access to the different views within your Stratum environment. Those can be used as data sources for your reports within Power BI, as well as Excel. Excel uses the same concept here. So when you make a connection to your URL for your viewer environment, that then exposes all the views within that environment that you can tap into and use as data sources for your Power BI reports. The concept is pretty simple. Once you tap into that, once you're into the Power BI desktop, as you can see, those fields within each view that you choose to bring over into your desktop, those fields then become, each one of those measures, the different dimensions that you have within that view, those all become available as different fields of information that you could bring into your Power BI reports. So as you can see, the views just become data sources within your Power BI designer. And you can just drag and drop those into your reports. As a matter of fact, that's what we did over here to create these visualizations. Just right out of the gates, you've got some pretty nifty things that you can do and populate. It doesn't take long for you to build stuff like this. And Power BI is so powerful that you can take it a step further if you need to. But just being able to tap into very easily into these views and into the data and the richness that Stratum provides is a huge bonus. The Excel connector comes into play if you're analysts out there like to use Excel, and well, who doesn't? As you can see, a recent article from the Wall Street Journal, even everyone's trying to get rid of Excel and they just can't. The analysts won't stop using Excel. And this actually hit this is actually a real headline. And it's a very interesting one at that. So as we can see, Excel is very much still in play here. And the analysts, at least finance analysts, prefer it. So the same concept is here as well, right? We have the Excel connector. It's actually an add-in piece that you will see in a minute here. It shows up and you'll see a Stratum menu showing up in your Excel workbook. And that will then allow you to gain access to type in your URL to your viewer environment and then gain access to the views within the environment. Again, the same concept as the Power BI connector, except you're just using Excel. So again, use Excel to connect to your views. Again, this can be cost effective because we know how ubiquitous Excel is. Fully customizable. We all know Excel they've upgraded the visualization options. So it looks and feels a lot like Power BI in a certain way. And then we all know that Excel and pivot tables and all the different things that you can do with Excel has the powerful features for analysis and visualization. One cool thing that happens here is kind of a bonus, is that this Excel actually shares the semantic layer with Power BI. So when you bring in your data sources to your Power BI gateway, those will become available within Excel as well, where it can make a match. And I'll show you that in the demo. It's actually quite cool and powerful. Here's what the Excel visualizations this kind of a preview of what they look like. As you can see, I can do the same types of things. Not all of them, but I can easily set this up using Excel and make it look and feel like Power BI a little bit. But it's they've upgraded their game as well in terms of what you can do in Excel. Okay, so enough PowerPoint for now. If you need to contact me, as you can see, my contact information is there. And you can discuss this with me at any time. Feel free to contact me at any time. And we can talk about these connectors or anything else that involves Stratum. All right, so let's take a look at this stuff. How do we use it? How do we tap into Stratum? How do we use some of these tools to get into the Stratum environment? Well, right out of the gates, I'm just going to bring up my Power BI environment. As you can see, I've got a version of Power BI here. And I've already tapped in and made that connection to the Stratum database. So here I can kind of expose the views that I'm using over here on the right-hand side. If I collapse everything down, as you can see, I've got 3 views that I've brought into the mix here. So how did I do that? How do I get these views into this tool? And if you've used Power BI before, you can go out and get data from the file menu. So when I click on the get data, it brings up the different ways and APIs that I can get data into my reports. Of course, I can tap into Excel workbooks, text files, JSON, XML, all kinds of different sources that I can tap into. But once the Stratum API becomes available, I'll be able to tap into the Sylvan Stratum views and connect to that. When I make that connection, it'll ask me for the URL for my Stratum environment, which then I can go ahead and type that in or copy and paste it in. Once I make that connection, it then will connect and it will then expose the views within that environment in a separate menu. So now it's populating that menu as we speak, and there they are. So as you can see, I get a folder for each one of my views. If I want to do a search, maybe I've got a view out there that I want to use. It has a certain prefix on it perhaps, and I can go ahead and select my view and bring that in as a data source. So as you can see, I'm selecting the Power BI comparative sales view. I am now making that available as a data source here within my Power BI desktop. So it gives you a preview of that view. And as you can see, I've got all the different columns of data from the view in my preview. As you can see, I've got different measures that I have within my view. So this data is coming from the viewer view that I selected. So each one of these columns within my view become fields of information. This is almost like a table that I'm just connecting to. Okay. And if you're not on mute, please put yourself on mute. Thank you. Okay, once I bring that in, it then becomes selectable. So now I can open up that data source and make that available and select in what the fields that I want to use into my data visualizations. It's really that simple. I can bring in as many views as I want, but as you can see, I can use different visualizations for the different views that I have here. And that shows you kind of the power of this tool, is that you can bring in multiple data sources and visualize. Each visualization can be looking at multiple data sources here. You can merge data together. It's smart enough to make those relationships happen. It's really cool how it does that. So real quick, if I wanted to add another visualization into my environment here, I can then go in and maybe I want a pie chart here. I can then select the visualization I want, kind of stretch it out a little bit, and design in what I want to bring in here. And I can bring that in from any one of my views, right? Maybe on this one I want to do year-to-date sales units. I can then highlight that and then maybe do that by maybe a more aggregate level here, perhaps product brand. So once I make those selections, as you can see, it populates the visualization. And then I can go into the visualization and do all kinds of different types of customizations to it. As you can see down here, I get a little menu of some options here where I can go in, do some additional filtering, or I can go into different types of options here to further format the visualization. Here, once I have the visualization highlighted here, I can further, go into more different settings here. So as you can see, the richness of Power BI, it's just, there's a lot of options here that I can go in and tweak, right? So, then once I save this then becomes part of the entire report for all these visualizations as well. Another cool concept here is the ability to drill through to a view perhaps and get more detail. So, as you can see, the concept here is that, I can only show you so much. I can only provide X amount of detail here without cluttering the Power BI dashboard, right? So, that's the concept here is, I can really provide cool visualizations, but if you really want to get down and dirty with the data, I'm going to have to take you somewhere else. So now we have the concept of drilling through the detail, and we're going to use a viewer view to do that. So I'm going to build that into my report. If you notice, I've got a little icon here. I'll make that a little bit bigger. And so this icon is going to serve as a button to jump to a more detailed view as I make my selection. For instance, Patrick Hurley. If I select Patrick Hurley, as you can see, Power BI and its coolness reflects all of Patrick Hurley's numbers within all the visualizations. That's just an inherent part of Power BI. That's how cool it is. But another layer of coolness would be, well, that's all great and dandy, but how can I'd like to drill down and see the products, that Patrick's selling. I just see brand. I know how he's performing by brand, but it would be great to see product here. Well, certainly I can make some of these drillable, some of the graphs drillable, but typically when you go to product, you're going to get a fair amount of detail. So what can I do here? Well, just by simply clicking on the drill through button, it will then take me to the view that I design in to that Power BI report. If you notice, it passes the parameter Patrick Hurley, which is the one I selected, and it's going to show me all the detail for Patrick Hurley here for all those different measures that I have within that data source. And as you can see, it's already drilled down to certain levels of detail here. You know, if I don't have all the detail I need, guess what? Well, I'm in the world of viewer now, and I can go grab product level, invoice level detail if I wanted to, right? So, I mean, it's up to you in terms of how much detail you want to provide into this particular view and how you want to, actually products already in the mix here. We can see products already here. So we can actually see everything, practically everything except for invoice line detail. So by drilling to this view, what if I want to make another selection? You know, if I want to drill into another rep here, Janice. Janice's numbers are not as big, therefore she's got a smaller tile. And let's go ahead and see how her numbers look. I should see Janice's numbers here, and sure enough, I do. You know, so it's smart enough to pass and receive the parameter, and here, you know, the power really is resonant here. And I get tons of detail for Janice, and all that detail that I have right now at my fingertips. So that's just fantastic. I mean, doing stuff like that, your users are going to really, you know, get what they need at a high to medium level, and then by providing that drill through capability, they're going to be able to really get down to the detail, get into the viewer environment, drill down to the necessary levels of detail without cluttering the Power BI report. And that's really how you want to do it. Okay, that's a best practice that you want to definitely adhere to and follow. So Power BI, it's fun. I mean, once you get into it and you start playing around with it, you notice I was able to add in a visualization very quickly and easy. I can tap into the viewer views very easily. So the analysts will be able to grasp onto this very quickly. What about Excel? You know, what do we want to do? Do we want the same concept for Excel? As I open up a brand new spreadsheet in Excel, how do I do the same thing here? Well, again, I've got the Stratum menu option. So the add-in for Excel provides me a pathway similar to the Power BI where I can then get Stratum data. And looky there, I've got the same concept where I can go in and type in my URL and authenticate as necessary. And look, I mean, I'm doing the same thing. So now I'm inserting that view into my spreadsheet, and voila, there it is. So, you know, from there I can build anything I want, an Excel pivot table, any visualizations that I might have. I was able to do all that here using the view that I tapped into. And now, as you can see, I can build visualizations off of that pretty easily because I have the data that I need from the view. As I stated in my presentation, another nifty thing that comes into play here is that ability to get more attribute information for my customers and my products. If you'll notice that, given the fact that I have Power BI and those data sources have been brought into my Power BI gateway, those attributes then become available where I have a relationship. So here I can highlight my products and I can say, well, let's go out and get more information from that Power BI gateway, that semantic layer of information. So as I highlight my data option here, I can go down and get my product, convert this product keys and say, well, go out and tap into those relationships and get information for my different products. So now notice that I've got those different fields that I brought into my Power BI gateway. Well, those all become available as fields of information. Here's my ABC classification. Maybe I want to add that as a column of information here to my report. And there it is. So in all honesty, that did not come from the view, that came from the Power BI gateway. And how to do that? Well, the product ID was able to pivot over there and grab that for you. There's a relationship there. So the richness and the ability to really have this global semantic layer that Microsoft and Stratum provide, well, as you can see, it really makes things quite easy. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking to be able to use these Microsoft products to tap into the Stratum Data Hub. You're already ahead of the game. If you're running Stratum and you have the Stratum Data Hub in place, you're already feeding the data into that on a daily basis. So that's something that you'll definitely be able to leverage. And as Microsoft evolves with these products, we evolve with them. And your users and your analysts and your data scientists are out there getting the data that they need from the Stratum Data Hub, gathering data from the Power BI Gateway additionally, seamlessly, and being able to really get the information they need to make those decisions, to react to those business scenarios as needed. I'm going to open this up for questions. If you wanted to ask any questions, I believe you can unmute yourself. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one quick question.
Yes.
When you are syncing up a view from Stratum to Power BI, do you have the data formatting option where you can kind of clean up and add some custom calculations in?
Well, that could be done in the, I believe you can do that in the Power BI instance itself. So, if you want to, as a matter of fact, I would probably recommend that when you build your view within view of the viewer environment, I would take away all of them. In my experience, it's easier just to take away all the formatting in the view. So the view is going to be pretty raw, right? It's nothing, not going to be anything really special. And then I would do all the data formatting there within the Power BI report.
Okay. And then one other question. I was wondering, and this, I don't know, might be kind of off the wall, but do you guys have like a time reference table that you guys could maybe provide? And I asked that for the sense of, because a lot of, if you were to pull in a month-over-month sales view from Stratum into Power BI, it has kind of a cumbersome header, actual sales dollars, May 21 to May 21, for example.
Right.
So that wouldn't be very, it wouldn't be a good appearance in Power BI. So I was just wondering if you guys have maybe a time reference table that can also be added into a Power BI view.
That's interesting. Right now, what we recommend is to not use the time range smart header. If you notice, my time range is up here. I've hard coded the headers.
Okay.
So that will, and this has, I've worked with other customers and they seem to be fine with this. This is a rolling or year-to-date YTD. This seems to suffice. However, your question is an interesting one because we do. There is a table certainly that you could tap into in the Stratum database and get more information from like a bucket number or a period number and get more information from that. Now, what you're not seeing here is certainly I could have a view that already has time as a dimension in it. So in that instance, then you would actually have the time dimension, the time parameters would be within your view, and therefore you could use those for trending purposes. You could build your own time hierarchy in Power BI